Your number 21 Arizona Wildcats are now 6-3 on the season after taking down UCLA 27-10 Saturday night. Going up against the best run defense in the FBS and the top-ranked defense in the Pac-12, the Wildcats logged 429 yards of total offense, with Noah Fafita throwing for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns on the night. Jonah Coleman's 19-yard run in the fourth quarter was the longest attempt allowed by UCLA all season, surpassing Fafita's 18-yard attempt earlier in the fourth quarter. A large part of the Wildcats' success on the ground Saturday night can be attributed to the offensive line, who got better and better as the game went on. 2 of those offensive linemen join us now on this episode of the Wildcat Rundown. Welcome back to the Wildcat Rundown. On this week's episode, we finally have representation from Arizona football's O-line. Offensive linemen Josh Baker and Leif Magnuson are here. Thank you guys for being here today.
Hey, what's up?
What's up?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
The last time we saw the two of you off of the field together was this spring in our Bromance series, and you guys had a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Yeah, and I'm glad you had us back because, I mean, we feel like we were the best bromance on the team.
Definitely. By popular demand.
It did do really well. I don't know if I can say it's the best, but I really remember Joel's episode.
That's fair
and
enough.
because of that, I have some follow-up questions.
Shoot.
So, first of all, how long have you guys lived together?
Ever since we've been here, since 2020 when he moved in. Yep, we
That's
were in
what I
Vikings
thought.
first. Yeah.
So you guys said you went from what dorm? Apartment?
Yeah, so we
You followed
started
each
in
other?
Likens dorm, and then when we were in a bit of a transition period in the summer, we went to La Paz dorm together, and then we moved into the Mark apartments together,
Yep.
and then now we're living in a house with Anthony Patton, Grayson Stovall as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, we've been together for a while now.
It's been a ride. It's been a great.
Just stuck together. Was it a random pairing your freshman year, or did you guys meet or connect some way?
Yeah, I can kind of expand on that.
Yeah.
Basically how it worked is, like, obviously as freshmen we were a little scared. We didn't know, like, they might just randomize, like, who we stay with.
You don't know anybody at first.
Exactly,
So,
but Josh, I saw his Instagram, he saw mine. We had similar interests, and it was kind of just like a shot in the dark. He just hit me up. He's like, "Hey, do you want to be roommates?" And then we were obviously like, "Shoot, okay, yeah." I mean, I wasn't mad against that. Somebody want to be my roommate. At first, I'm like, "Friends, all right, let's go." And then right off the bat, like literally the second we walked in, it was kind of like
tight.
right there.
Yeah.
It was tight, yeah. So
Yeah.
It's been like that ever since.
Because we technically met over Zoom when it was during COVID time. So we interacted over Zoom at first, and he was still in Canada, I was still in Missouri, but we met and gelled that way. And then obviously, like, one thing led to another. I DM'd him, "Hey, do you want to be my roommate?" And then we hit it off like that.
That was perfect. What was your first impression of one another?
Oh my goodness. I'd say
before I really got to know him, he was kind of like, I don't know, I couldn't really catch a full gauge on him. I was like, at first, he was a pretty big guy, so I was a little intimidated. Like, man, this guy's got some size, some strength. And at the time, like, I was still coming out of my high school body, and but I was a little intimidated by him. But as time went on and I got to know him a bit better, he kind of got funnier, got a little more easy to talk to, and I just kind of kept going from there. Yeah.
At first, when I saw him on Zoom and even in person, at first I thought he was kind of a big old pretty boy. His big old hair was done up pretty nice. He was very, very clean looking. I was like, okay, this guy might be my vibe, might not be. But after a while, we were like, yeah, okay, we're cool.
When was the moment that you were like, okay, this was the best pick for a roommate? You guys kind of hit it off. Was there a moment, or was it just kind of gradual?
Honestly, I would
say it
even
was more gradual.
It was, for sure, more gradual.
Yeah, it aged with time. It was better aged with time, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we first met each other, like, I didn't expect us to connect as fast as we did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, immediately it was like, oh, I'm Josh, I'm Leif. And then it was like, hey, let's go see Pat. You know what I mean? Because he was also moving in at the time upstairs.
Yep.
We saw him, and, like, the three of us were kind of inseparable.
Just the AZ3.
Like, literally, the next day, I didn't even have my, like, financials fixed. And he's like, I'll buy you TV. Just get me back. You know what I mean? It was just such a close relationship right off the start.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was really good. But gradual for sure.
Very gradual, yeah.
What's your favorite memory that you guys share together, or favorite story?
Probably, I'd say just living with him in the dorms and everything, there's definitely a whole bunch of really funny instances. But as mentioned in the last episode on the Bromance in the spring about like the burrito machine, the the microwave under his bed and everything. When we were actually moving out of there, when we were coming down the stairs, he was holding it. And from 3 stairs up, he fell, and I was in front of him, so I didn't see all this. He fell, smoked it on top of the microwave. And I look back, and I hear like a big freaking smack. I thought he like died or broke something, and I look back, and it's just him on the microwave. And I think that was like one of the funnier moments that I've ever had. But yeah.
No, we've definitely had quite a few like little funny moments like that. But I think if in terms of like kind of football, I think one of like best moments together was Washington was my first start, and just sharing that moment with him, because man, for the last 3 years all we've been talking about is like when it was going to be our turn to just be the two of us there and really do this thing together, because we really care about the team, and you know what I mean, just be able to kind of share that moment pre-game and just be like, this is what we've been working for. It was quite special. Yeah.
That's been the dream since day one. Yep, we both wanted to start and have an impact, and there we were in that Washington game, so that was really special.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yep. And then Josh, you mentioned the burrito machine from Bromance and Leif. That was one of my favorite parts of y'all's episode, because you went into that explanation. So a follow-up question to see really how well you know Josh. What's his go-to Chipotle order?
He knows
that's easy. It's double white rice. Like, if we're like, the rice is free, so if you can get more, go for it.
Carbs.
Double white rice. He used to do double beans. I don't know if he still does that. Chicken, and then he does just like lettuce.
Yep.
Corn.
Yep.
Salsa, or the red.
Yeah, on the side.
Yeah, on the side.
Yeah.
And then he might throw a little sour cream in there, but doubtful. But that's pretty much the basis of it. Yeah. So just picture those things together, and then picture that heat and that smell underneath my bed in a dorm room
every day.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's why you guys left after a year. You had to go to an apartment after that.
I had to go somewhere. I mean,
it was just stuck.
That only happened for one summer, so it was a quick time. But definitely had to get out of there after that.
Yeah.
And then another question for you guys. What has changed the most about one another since you guys first met freshman year? How have you guys seen each other grow?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, for him, I'd say Josh has always kind of just been himself, which is something that I really appreciate about him, because I find that a lot of people, when they get to college, they might, switch their personality to maybe fit in here or do a bit like, to be cool. Nah, Josh was just Josh. And that's what I do like about him, is like he's unapologetic for how he is, and that I like that about him. And I think he can kind of go off about how I changed, but I will say that about him.
Yeah, physically, when the guy came in, he knew he wanted to change his body, and I definitely feel like within the last 3 years, he's seriously changed his body. And in mental, in terms of football, he's seriously stepped up his game, and I'm very proud of him for that, and I can't wait to see where that goes as well. Yeah.
We had some fan questions about food for you guys, so going on that topic, what's your guys' favorite pregame meal?
Okay, so I keep it bland, because my stomach doesn't do too well in terms of variety of foods pregame, so I keep it very, very nice and plain. I keep it a rice, I keep it vegetables, typically green beans, whatever they have there, and chicken. I keep it very simple, so my stomach doesn't get upset and I'm feeling good before game.
I'm pretty similar. I mean, I don't want to test any, different foods, anything crazy. So I keep it pretty simple with just plain white rice, chicken, vegetables. Back in high school, I always do Subway, but right now this is kind of what I do. Yeah.
Pretty plain. What about after a big win? Are you guys then going all out?
Yeah, it's well, I mean, usually we have the late games usually, so the only things that are open are typically, fast food or something. So I'll usually just go crush some double cheeseburgers at McDonald's or something like that. But
yeah, and we do typically get food after games provided to us by the facilities.
Right.
That's always good.
Yeah. Tanner and Alex always have just a spread for you guys, especially after workouts or practices. So after a big lift or a big practice, what snack are you guys grabbing?
Immediately the smoothie, and I always make sure I'm on top of my hydration with like a liquid IV or one of those hydration packs for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I always go for the strawberry banana smoothie. And I think Tanner and Alex have really done a great job because they know, like, pre-practice, I love to have myself, like, a little pack of goldfish. And that's, like, you know, my little fuel, my little carbs. And if they don't have them, like, where's my goldfish? And then they go get them and they grab them for me, and they've been really good about that. So I really appreciate that from them. But, yeah, usually just after practice, strawberry banana shake.
Davis was wondering, how many calories do you guys consume in order to keep your current weight to perform? Do you guys have an estimate?
So I don't know specifically. I'd guess, if I had to guess, somewhere a little bit north of 4,000 a day. I typically eat around 5 meals a day, typically 2 breakfasts, 1 lunch, and then 2 dinners. It depends on what day it is and what time I'm able to eat, but that's typically the 5-meal schedule that I run on. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's something similar. I mean, he's very rigid with his plan, but I usually try to go, like, on days where we do a workout and a practice, I'll try to get 5 meals in similar to him, whereas if we don't, if it's just a lift or if we're doing less activity, I'll just do 4 meals. But I mean, calorie-wise, yeah, it's probably somewhere in that 4,000 to 5,000, calorie range. Yeah.
And then we talked about how the two of you met, but I'm interested to know how the both of you got connected to the University of Arizona. So Josh, let's start with you. When did you first start talking Arizona football?
Sure. So the whole reason that Arizona was even introduced to me, so I wasn't really understanding of Pac-12 before Coach Kyle DeVan. So he was at a school previously, Ball State, and they recruited me and they offered me there. He took a job here and he recruited me here, so that's the whole reason that I got connected to Arizona in the first place. So that was really cool. That opened my eyes to the Pac-12.
And you were recruited as a tackle, is that right?
So I played all 3 positions in high school, but I was playing tackle my senior year. But I got recruited as an interior.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And yeah, your first experience on the field here, was it at guard?
Yes, it was.
And then, transitioning into center full time, what work went into that, both on and off of the field, to make that change?
Oh, definitely snaps and getting really heavily deep into that playbook. So I know not only what I'm doing, but what everyone else is doing around me, just in case they have questions or because of what the defense has given us, what everyone else has to do in their job as well. So.
And that was something BC has talked about this season in the media, was just the preparation that you specifically do for the game. I mean, every guy, is prepping, but I thought it was interesting he called you out of how you're really leading Thursday or Friday meetings with is it with the O-line or the whole offense? What does that look like?
So it's the offensive line, the running backs, and the quarterbacks it's our little protection meeting. Yeah.
Okay, and then Leif, how did you start talking to Arizona football?
Yeah, so actually my junior year of high school, I was kind of ending up my process. I had only played D-end and tight end up until that point, and I committed to South Dakota, the Coyotes, and I thought I was done, so I came back home, decided to just play my senior year, have fun. And it was my first year playing O-line, and then while playing O-line, offers started popping up, a little more conversation. I ended up decommitting from South Dakota, kept going, did some visits here and there, and I really wanted to be in the Pac-12. My dad did play for Washington State, so obviously at the time, that's kind of where I was thinking about, but I don't know, I just felt like when, as you mentioned, Coach DeVan contacted me, and the fact that he came out to Saskatchewan in -40 weather up in Canada and, withstood that and, really liked me as a player, that just meant a lot to me, and I wanted to be in the Pac-12, and it just worked out for me in terms of my recruiting. So that's really what brought me here, and, it's kind of how it happened.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned your dad, and what advice has he given you for college football, just him having experienced it as well?
Oh, shoot, all of it. I mean, I could make a list of stuff, my dad said but I think the biggest thing is just effort over results. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's like you're going to have bad days or good days, but the one thing I can determine is, were you trying? You know what I mean? So he just wants to make sure that regardless of the result, I'm just giving my greatest effort all day. So, yeah.
Chipping away.
Yes, sir.
What was the biggest difference transitioning from Canadian football to college football in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, being on the line, there's that 1 yard difference. So in Canadian football, there's that the defense line has to be 1 yard away from the ball. They can't just be right up to the ball. So I think that's a little different, just that timing. And, when there's a yard, there's a little more happening in your kick set. Whereas, in American football, it's just kind of an immediate contact, a little more aggressive. I think the overall change in the games in terms of the trenches was pretty easy transition. I think there's a lot more when you're playing receiver. It changes because, you know, in Canadian football they're like running up to the line before the snap. There's all these other different rules, but I think the transition was just fine, and I think it was just a matter of just getting that footwork down and, you know, just learning the rules. But it was good. Yeah.
Thinking back to your freshman year, a question for both of you: what was the biggest thing that surprised you about college football?
The physicality and pace of not just the game but practice as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'd say something similar, and just the realization that you're not the best anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, you can obviously become the best and stuff, but when you show up, obviously you're still kind of in that mindset of high school where it's like you were that guy, and then you show up and then you realize, wow, I'm just another guy. So then you really got to, it's okay. You got to step up that next level in terms of like, are you going to adapt and start trying to become the best in terms of, you know, what's around you and in the league you play in, or are you just going to kind of stay in your high school ways and think, you know, I'm the best, I don't need to get better. And I think the both of us have kind of adapted to, you know, we know these guys are good and we know guys are working hard, so we got to do the same to be just as good or better.
Going back to your freshman year, if you could tell yourself one thing, what would that be?
I'd say study hard in the playbook and in school, because that is very important. Study very hard in the playbook in school and give it your all, because nobody ever regretted giving it their best.
That's good advice.
Yeah. I would say, like, for me, it was probably just like take better care of yourself in terms of nutrition and like physical therapy and stuff. I found that, you know, I felt young. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm just banged up. It'll go away. Or, you know, maybe take an ibuprofen. It'll be good, you know. But I think, you know, get into the training room, and I really appreciate that Coach Fish and, you know, the trainers have been really good, and they want us to be in there. Whereas my dad said when he played, it was more like, if you're in the training room, that's a bad thing. That means you're hurt. That means you're out. Whereas now it's like, you know, we encourage you guys to go there. We want you guys, if you guys got any kind of nick, bruise, whatever is bothering you, just come in, fix it. And I think I wish I would have done that a little bit sooner. But I mean, obviously in the recent year or two, I've definitely gotten better in that area. So
yeah, I would agree. Like, thinking back to my time in college, when I was in high school before that, it was, like you said, a bad thing to go to the training room. And so when I started playing college sports, it was like, oh, I don't want to be in there. So even if I have like a little pull or something, I'm just going to stay away so they don't know. But then I realized when I got older that, okay, I need to go in there for really anything. And then it was like an everyday thing for me.
Yeah.
And we always give our fans an opportunity to ask you guys questions, so we'll transition to that now. The first one is asking, what is your favorite uniform combination?
I love me some blue on blue, the navy on navy. I love that. Yeah.
I thought the red and white was pretty crispy the other day, mainly just because we hadn't like worn that before. But, you know, I'm a classic. I love a clean all white. That's one of my favorites, is just going all white and just, you know, yeah, that's got to be it. Yeah.
Bobo is asking, what does it take to be a good lineman? So it sounds like he might have aspirations to be one. What's some advice you have for him?
Get a very strong and coordinated lower body. Yep.
Yeah, definitely, you know, working on punch. Like, obviously there's those little things, but I think just have the willingness to learn and to get better, and just, you know, really trust the technique. Because I find that a lot of guys, younger guys, when they come in, they just don't want to like lose a rep, or, you know, they just revert back to their old ways because they don't want to, you know, as I mentioned, lose a rep, or they don't want to like mess up or something like that. It's like, you know what, when coach says, you know, try this, it's like that's what practice is for, to try those things, or even on your own time to work those techniques that, you know, for us, obviously, that Coach BC's been telling us. And it took me a while, you know, I was a little nervous sometimes, and I would always revert back to some bad ways, but eventually I started, you know, really taking the time to think about, you know, I got to work this, I got to work that, this is what he wants. Even if I mess up, work it, you know what I mean? Because eventually it's going to start clicking, it's going to start making a lot more sense. So I think, you know, just believe in your coaches, trust the process, and just, you know, yeah.
And one more thing, learn your offense inside and out.
Asher is asking, if you are having a game where nothing is going your way, how do you bounce back?
Trust. Keep trusting in the coaches, the game plan. whatever call is being called by the coaches, you have to trust that you and everyone else around you is going to execute that at the highest level. And eventually, like we say in our meetings, that big boulder will crack. And in terms of like a boulder break, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I've seen that. I think it was the image outside of Yale's locker room all last week.
Exactly. Just keep swinging.
Yeah, kind of in terms of that trust thing, I think it's just, just don't get into the mindset like you're down or you're going to lose or thinking about the worst. I think what we've done in weeks recently is like, even if we were a little bit down on the scoreboard, like nobody really kind of was affected. Nobody was thinking, oh shoot, we're down. Oh, we might lose. It's always, what can we do to go out and win this game? What can we do to go out and get a score? And it really just comes down to doing your job, winning your rep, and not worrying about what other people are doing, because I can't worry about what T-Mac's doing. I don't know what T-Mac's doing. Probably catching one-handed catches somewhere. But the point is like, I got to worry about doing my one-on-one block, getting that done, and then just, trusting that the rest of the offense is doing the same and, hoping for the best.
And then last one comes from Teddy, and he asked, who's the most improved defensive lineman this year?
That's a great question.
That is a good question.
Who am I liking?
I'd say Isaiah Ward. He's really stepped up and improved his craft over the last season, and I'm proud of him. I'm definitely excited to see how continued improvement affects his gameplay in the future.
One guy that came in, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it, Keanu Miloto. Yeah. When he first came in, he was kind of a younger guy, didn't have all the pieces kind of put together, but I've noticed that like as time went on, he's still working it. He's still trying to get better. And I think he's improved quite a bit. Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being on today.
Yeah.
This was so much fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was awesome.